my fellow countrymen.
I, Dwight D. Eisenhower, do solemnly swear.
I, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, do solemnly swear.
I, Lyndon Baines Johnson, do solemnly swear.
Let us encourage individuals at home and nations abroad to do more for themselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Dajjal, the Antichrist, will declare himself as God in Jerusalem. However, in order for him to do that, there needs to be policies and systems in place to make it work. To get the entire world to worship the Antichrist in Jerusalem, and the system's architect is America. Not the people, but those who run the government, those who we never see. Those who are pulling the strings in the Israeli and Palestinian conflict in order to drive the Palestinians out of their land, capture the Muslim holy shrine of Al-Aqsa, and establish a temple in its place in order to welcome the Antichrist.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Once in the future, when construction does begin on the temple, what's the duration for completion of the temple?
Are you in a hurry on this? Okay. I don't see why it would be longer than any project of comparable magnitude. There's some infrastructure work that has to be done in terms of purification, but I don't see it being more than a year.
Dajjal, the Antichrist, often described as the epitome of deception in various religious narratives, operates under the guise of a great deceiver. Central to his deceptive agenda is the amalgamation of evil with perceived goodness. He shows you heaven, but it's actually hell. The proponents of this deceitful scheme endeavor to orchestrate a facade of unity among all religions.
Attention, Christians, Muslims, and Jews! I have come to gather you into a new faith. And you shall be called Chrismu Jews. Because when you get down to it, aren't all religions the same? They tell you what to eat, when to pray, how this imperfect clay that we call man can mold itself to resemble the divine. But we can never attain that ultimate grace while there is hatred in our hearts for each other.
The people behind the Third Temple are orchestrating a facade of unity among all religions, emphasizing Jerusalem's significance and the construction of the Third Temple as a symbol of inclusivity. At first glance, they say it's a temple for all. It does sound appealing, fostering notions of harmony and collective celebration. However, beneath this veneer lies a sinister objective to divert attention towards the Third Temple and facilitate the reception of Dajjal the Antichrist as the only deity on this planet worthy of worship in Jerusalem. Therefore, the underlying purpose veiled behind this facade of unity is to pave the way for acceptance of Dajjal the Antichrist as a living God.
Prepared everything necessary for the Third Temple. The altar is ready, the trampoles are ready, the chest plate of the high priest, the costumes of the high priest, everything is ready.
Recognizing the importance of the Temple Mount to peoples of all three monotheistic faiths, Jews, Muslims, and Christians.
Therefore, I have determined that it is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
America is the system of the Antichrist, and American Christians need to wake up because their regime is paving the way for the demon king. It was America which recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. In December 2017, the United States, under President Donald Trump, officially recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and it was in May 2018 the American regime relocated its embassy to Jerusalem, despite objections from Palestinian leaders. It's America which supports illegal Israeli settlements in occupied Palestine. The American regime has consistently supported Israel's expansion of settlements in East Jerusalem, which is considered occupied territory under international law. America provides diplomatic backing to Israel all the time, offering diplomatic support and defending Israel's so-called right to defend itself. Over a month ago, I did say there's American soldiers on ground in Gaza. Looks like martyr Aaron Bushnell said the same recently too. God rest his soul. Oil-rich Muslim nations are being controlled by Dajjal, the Antichrist. They've chosen to align with America, which is a betrayal of their faith. They've committed major shirk by bowing to the Dajjal system. This choice is a major wrongdoing, as they've sided with Dajjal's system instead of protecting human beings in Palestine. Leaders from these nations involved in agreements like the Abraham Accord have acknowledged that the Temple Mount belongs to those who want to rebuild the Third Temple and welcome the Antichrist Dajjal. Their feeble stance on Palestine clearly exposes them for what they are: snakes, while working for the Masons of America. American Zionist influence is growing and spreading quickly in their nations.
إلى رام الله وذهبت إلى القدس وتقابلنا مع نائب وزير الخارجية الإسرائيلي السابق وتقابلنا مع أعضاء في الكنيسة الإسرائيلي ومع أعضاء مؤسسات المجتمع المدني في إسرائيل مقاتلون من أجل السلام. هدفهم كان هو تحقيق السلام، واتفقنا على أن الحلقة المفقودة هو عدم وجود الثقة، ولن تكون هناك ثقة إلا في الحوار. المجتمع الإسرائيلي يرغب في السلام.
These are the same countries who supported Wahhabi mosques and madrasas worldwide. This support fueled American wars in the Middle East, allowing America to enter places like Iraq and Syria and take all their oil.
When I was a cadet, what's the cadet motto at West Point? You will not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole. It was like we had entire training courses. It reminds you of the glory of the American experiment.
The system of the Antichrist is being progressed by America.
And our Prophet, Allah's blessing be upon him, said this about the Antichrist. He said, every prophet has warned his people about Dajjal. And the prophet Noah warned his people about Dajjal. But I am going to tell you something that none has ever said before me. Dajjal sees with the left eye. He is blind in the right eye. It looks like a bulging grape. But your Lord is not one
America is under satanic influence. Most Americans think the eye on the dollar bill is the eye of God, eye of providence, but it's not. It's the eye of Dajjal, the Antichrist. Because the founding fathers of America were Freemasons, the worshippers of the devil, and the Antichrist, Dajjal, who are giving power to Israel today in order to establish the one world religion of the Antichrist and establish his throne in the Third Temple.
We were told that the founding of Israel was this glorious act of God in 1948, and Moses came down himself and planted the Star of David flag in Jerusalem, and the whole thing was just an act of God. Well, the truth is, it wasn't an act of God. It was an act of terrorism. And they're still terrorists today.
It is an act of rebellion against God.
And it's rebellion against God.
Anyone who supports Israel is defying God, because Israel's establishment itself is a rebellion against God. The Israelis are not the chosen people. God unchose them 2,000 years ago and gave the nation to another people, the Palestinians, including the Christian Palestinians and Muslims. You see, my friends, the creation of Israel is a sign of the Antichrist. He's already among us, residing in Israel. The signs are unmistakable. Today, there's extreme social injustice and chaos, and it's said that the Antichrist will appear in a period of world crisis, when disorder, selfishness, and global problems will reign in society. America is under the grip of the Antichrist, who in turn has control over nation states. And it's said that the Antichrist will have extraordinary charisma and the ability to govern nations, exert control over states, and influence important political decisions. Look what's happening in Pakistan, where they put the opposition in jail. and ignore vote rigging in elections just so a US puppet can reign over a population of 225 million people, while mostly Muslims.
इस तरह मुल्क नहीं चलेगा, ये मुल्क को बर्बादी की तरफ लेके जा रहे हैं, जो इन चोरों को दोबारा हमारे ऊपर मुसल्लत कर रहे हैं। ये जुल्म है, ये बहुत बड़ी ज़्यादती है अवाम के साथ।
ये चोर हैं जो पहले पैसे चोरी करते थे, अब इन्होंने हमारा जो है मैंडेट चोरी किया है, हमारा वोट चोरी किया है।
Technology is advancing at an alarming speed. It's said that the Antichrist will command the sky to rain, and it will. Well, there's cloud seeding for that today.
Is making it rain in a sweltering desert by zapping clouds with electricity using drones.
The Antichrist will revive the dead, and people today are being frozen at the point of death in order to be revived again through the use of nanotechnology and artificial intelligence.
Freezing patients after they die so that one day they may live again. Fox's Jackie Ibanez has more.
Inside these aluminum tanks of liquid nitrogen are the bodies and heads of roughly 200 people. The canisters are housed at an Alcor Life Extension Foundation's facility in Scottsdale, Arizona, where the patients inside, many of whom passed away from terminal illnesses, are preserving their bodies for the future.
Instead of just disposing of the patient, give them to us. We're going to stabilize them, stop them getting worse, and hold them for as long as it takes for technology to catch up and allow them to come back to life.
There's persecution of believers. Everywhere you look, believers are being persecuted. Religious beliefs are seen as backward, too old, and not fit for purpose in society.
What if you had a child who was transgender and said, "I'm sorry, but I wish to change my sex"? How would you feel?
There is provision within Muslim teachings about how we can facilitate that. There's no challenge there in the sense that it's a yes or a no thing. We would sit down with the medical experts. We would sit down with whoever is able to help make the decision,
Well, they might
which
not
would
want
be
to do
best
that.
suited
They might
for
just-
that individual.
It seems to me that people like you, and it's the same with vicars and priests and rabbis and all of them, want to really control those people who believe.
It's all happening with America's approval. The final goal is a nuclear war. Israel's actions are leading us there. When the war starts, power will shift from America to Israel. Then the Antichrist, Dajjal, will emerge and claim to be God, setting up his own religion for the whole world. The Talmud talks about it. There'll be smoke filling the sky, a trumpet sounding, and the Messiah will be in Jerusalem. That's exactly what we're getting ready for. In our bewildering world, Israeli zealots, driven by religious fanaticism, are twisting divine will to suit their own desires. With cunning and deceit, they choreograph a sinister dance, unwittingly fulfilling prophecies of the false Messiah, Dajjal, master of deception. In this realm of rampant falsehood, truth tellers are cast aside, labelled as mad by society, blinded by lies. In this topsy-turvy world, liars reign supreme, serving the bidding of the ultimate deceiver, while the lone voice of truth is lost in the chaos of deceit.